certainly see an improvement in your conversion cost to the extent of about 20 to 30%. When we go to our clients and when we start doing our assessments and we try to discuss with them, that's our initial point. In fact, we go and do the assessment and try to find out what's going on and what should have been going on. And we are able to very clearly say that, look, this is what we can predict could be the numbers of your P&L in terms of top line, in terms of bottom line. Our fee is not a cost to you, it's an investment. The return will be at least 3 to 5 times than what you are paying, because that's the kind of confidence, that's the kind of expertise we have got, or rather we have gathered over the number of years that we have spent on the shop floors of many industries. Kaizen is not a theory. Kaizen is absolutely application based, and that's why I call it applied Kaizen. Management should not think that Kaizen is not something which doesn't give profits. Actually, it is meant to be giving profits. Kaizen as a culture is very important. So Kaizen culture, productive work culture, it brings a different dimension to the organization as far as its performance is concerned. But as long as it does not bring profit, it does not get that kind of value from the management perspective. It brings culture into the organization, which is productive, which is performance oriented, which is process oriented. But the application of this brings ultimately profits to the company. Muda, Mura, Muri. Like that, of course, there are many other Japanese words like Pokayoke, Jidoka, Shojinka, Haijunka, Chaku. And these are all words which are basically defining different aspects of Kaizen applications. Muda-free organizations. Organizations without waste. Ultimately, what's happening? When you are operating an organization, there is always a gap between what is the design parameter and what is the performance that is actually happening. And we'll see always there is a gap. And that gap is because of two things. The wastes which are there of various types and the losses that you have in the processes. The moment we attack Muda, the moment we attack waste of any type, it could be waste in production, it could be waste in transportation. In fact, Toyota has defined 7 types of waste. We call it downtime, and that is, Muda of inventory, Muda of transportation, Muda of inspection, Muda of overproduction, Muda of inspection, Muda of inventory. Like that, there are various types of waste which have been defined by Toyota. So if we attack these wastes, we'll definitely get better performance from the processes. Similarly, Mura, which talks of variations, variability. Similarly, Muri is a stress. When you are stressing an organization, overburdening an individual or a machine, then the production suffers. So we say that we should do Kaizens in terms of improving Muda, Mura, Muri. Now we have 4 resources: man, machine, material, methods, the 4 M's. Very simply, we can apply Kaizens from Muda, Mura, Muri perspectives in these 4 resources. The output of the manpower, the productivity of the manpower. In 8 hours, what he's supposed to give is not giving. Why he's not giving? 480 minutes of engagement. What that engagement is giving? Can it not give better? So we can do those man-related Kaizens from Muda perspective, Mura perspective, Muri perspective. We can talk of machines in the similar way. In machines also we have Muda, we have base. In 480 minutes we are supposed to have a production level, a particular production level, and what we have actually. And we measure this in terms of overall equipment effectiveness, OEE. So we find that OEE of any machine, depending of course on the type of industry that you are in, but it could range from 60% to 90%. And there's always a gap. There's always a scope for improving the OEE of the machine. And that's another Kaizen that we have. So we have breakdown losses, we have setup losses, we have performance losses, we have speed losses, we have yield losses, and of course we have initial setup losses. Then we come to the material. There is a lot of scope for improving the Muda, Mura and Muri in material also. So we talk in terms of inventories, we talk in terms of yield, we talk in terms of the losses which are taking place while processing the material. So if you see the material balance, the input and output gap, and the scrap that you sell, you can see there is a scope for doing Kaizen in that area. So there is also one kind of Kaizen that we are doing in the organization today is the variance between what figures, data we see on the SAP or ERPs and what we physically see, and there is a difference between the two. Then come to methods, the processes. Of course, there is a lot of scope for improving the processes, finding out Muda in the processes. So if we take very small individual processes, there we can do, we understand the process, we draw the flow, and we try to see how the material is flowing. And if it is a single piece flow, if it is not a single piece flow, there is a scope for improving Kaizen. We can also see how fast is the flow taking place, how the lines are balanced, if there is a balance or not, what are the bottlenecks in the flow. One can see that. So there is a scope for doing Kaizens in that. And then if you see product streams, the larger streams where we can do value stream mapping, and then there we can see what are the gaps which are there, which are actually restricting the high productivity levels. So one can do this exercise in detail. So there is a scope for doing Kaizens in all the 4 M's. There is also scope for Kaizen in the next 2 M's which I am talking about, is the measurements. The 5th M, 6th M is the motivation. So what is the motivation level of the workforce? What are the measurements? What are the data that you have? Are you manually filling the data, or are you actually digitizing those data? There's a scope for doing Kaizens there also. There's a good scope for doing that, and we have successfully done in many organizations. So if you attack these 4 M's through Muda, Mura, Muri, that means if you try to do a waste-free organization, Muda-free organization, ultimately what will happen? Your capacity utilization will be much more. Your yield levels will be much better. And the throughput will be much better. So your top line will improve. And because you are actually producing more with less, so the conversion cost will also definitely improve. and that will improve the profit. And then we can also look at the supply chain part. If we want to do Kaizens on the raw material or the input material, whatever inputs we are getting. So down the line on the supply chain also, there is a good scope for doing Kaizens with the logistics, with the storages, with the people down the line, the vendors down the line, and how good they are in supplying the material in terms of deliveries, in terms of quality, and in terms of we call it OTIF, all right, on time, in full, how they are supplying to us.